to mix down all of these elements, just the instrument elements, onto the track. So I have set up a bus to do just this. Right, let's export. So, we're going to use project audio folder. I'm working in 24-bit, so I'm going to export it as a 24-bit file just to keep the clarity. Okay, amazingly the computer has actually held up so far, because when I was preparing for this project on my lap at home, it was crashing all the time. So thank you so much, computer. It just goes to show you can make a fantastic sounding remix using very little. We've just got Cubase and one plugin next to. That's what we're using. Nothing fancy. All the fancy things, they add all the extra dimensions, but really you can just start off with a very small chord system in order to start producing dance music. It's very, right, here we go. So we have. So if we solo this, hopefully. So we have all our elements now bounced down into a stereo track. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to automate. Automation is very, very important when it comes to doing mixes because it creates interest. Tracks can be very, very linear and just chug along and be very progressive. And that works really well in a club situation because being in a club, it's all about the atmosphere and the vibe. But for the Bimbo Jones remixes, we're dealing with lots of specialist radio stations all around the world, and a lot of American specialist radio stations. And the Americans expect high melodic content and a lot of interest in their mixes. So we have to be very careful that things are changing and moving around all the time. Right, so let's get up the settings, and I'm just going to use an EQ for the time being. So, we're going to automate this. Automated. We listen back to that. Okay, let's have a listen with the drums as well, and you'll see how this is going to sound. Right, so I'm going to put that through my bus with the sidechain compressor, where I have the kick activating the sidechain compressor to make the whole mix pump. Yeah, see what I mean? It's working. the sub-feel and build it up from there. With knocking out the bass end, you don't want to knock too much out unless you're going for a real Alan DJ effect. You only really need to take out a little bit of the bass end to give an effect to the tune. Right, so let's have a listen to see what it's going to sound like coming out of the verse. With a really long delay, which is a really effective way of making it sound like a very anthemic thing is happening in the track. I'm using sweeps coming up, so let's have a listen to these effects. Right, okay. Now we're going to add in a snare roll, and I'm so pleased that snare rolls have come back into house production because they disappeared in 2003, and they've come back, and I'm very, very happy with that. Right, so snare roll. You can go on there and you can listen to demos of all the sample sets. You've got all the genres on there, rather like on Beatport you have all the genres, you have all the genres on loopmasters.com. And when you buy their samples, which is very, very cheap, it's only about €20 to buy gigabytes worth of content, you're allowed to use this stuff in all of your productions. It's completely licensed to use wherever. And I know a lot of people who are making great music, and what they do is they go onto the internet, they are downloading sample packs that other people have made, and literally bringing up a Swedish House Mafia loop, a drum loop, and then they're sending it off to sing a little single, and it will come back, and then they've got a hit. That's brilliant, isn't it? So, if you want to make really easy tracks without much effort, You can sell all your productions, you can play them out, you can have them on the radio with these samples, you can make as much money as you like, you can get #1 hits and beatport in the charts, and you're allowed to use them. So, another sound I'm going to put in. This is a very good and common trick at the moment. You take a percussion sound, it might be a conga, a Brazilian type clave, and what you do is you automate the reverb. So you start off with it very, very dry, and then you start pushing the reverb up, and then you suddenly bring the reverb back down, shut it down, and this creates some real interest in it. So I've automated the reverb to come up. I'm going to take it down. Okay, so that's going to sound like this. So now we've got a verse, bridge, chorus section. We can now start arranging the rest of the track. There's different ways to arrange house music. There are no rules. You can do whatever you like. If someone's telling you you should be doing this, you should be doing that, just ignore them, because you're right at the end of the day. If you think it sounds right, you're the right guys. One thing that you do need to be wary of is when DJs are mixing tracks in and out, you need to create some areas where there's no bass or synths or harmonic melody. So just drums. So you need to have at least 30 seconds of drums at the beginning of your track, so the DJs can start mixing in the beats over the last track. And then similarly at the end, you need to have a section of beats, so the DJs can mix the next track in. This is really important. If the DJ gets the track and it just comes in straight away with the chords, it's impossible. They can't play the track because they won't be able to mix it in with the last track unless they just drop it straight in. But that's not the style. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is just tidy up a little bit. Sorry if I'm going so fast, but we have such limited time. Okay, so I'm going to copy